Hello and welcome to the first episode of a new video series in which I will discuss all of the maps in Terraforming Mars. Today I will talk about all of the ins and outs of the base game map Tharsis, discuss the milestones and awards, and talk about which corps are better than usual on this map. We will go through this in 4 sections. First, I will explain the general layout of Tharsis and its implication on the ground game on this map. Then I will go over the milestones and awards, and lastly I will combine all of this information and talk about the best corps on this map. So let's hop right in. The ground game is at its best on the base game map. Why? First of all, it holds the highest total count of plants as placement bonuses out of the original 3 maps. 27 on land tiles and 11 on ocean tiles. As a comparison, Elysium comes close with 27 on land tiles and 7 on ocean tiles, but Hellas trails behind by quite a bit, with just 19 on land tiles and 8 on ocean tiles. This means that on Tharsis you can consistently use greenery placements to get the plants you need for your next greenery, a crucial strategy for any good ground game. Next up, the oceans are quite spread out, meaning that you have ample opportunity to collect ocean rebates when placing tiles. On Tharsis there are 8 tiles that grant at least 4 MC and at a minimum 1 plant as a placement bonus. Compare this to Hellas, where there are just 6 of these tiles, or Elysium with only 4. And lastly, and here I need to spoil the next sections a little bit, Tharsis also has 2 milestones and at least 1 award that really favor ground game, more than any other map. So just remember, ground game is strong on Tharsis. But how do you want to go about it? Well, first of all, and this is a tip for all maps, try to do an ocean walk using greeneries and special tiles. Cities come second. To get an explanation as to why, watch my beginner tips video, which is linked in the description and in the upper right hand corner of the video just now. Tharsis has 2 main ocean walks, the north and the south route. If you get the choice, always start north, since this one has more flexibility and better payoff. The shorter ocean walk on the east side of the map is not recommended as a starting point, since the oceans here only yield 1 plant each and you can easily get boxed in with the city on this spot. This leads me to my next point, the best city spots on this map. I like the spot right next to the easternmost ocean the best. Here you get access to the North Ocean Walk, and you have nice conversion spots all around you that yield great plant placement bonuses. The next best spot in my opinion is just west of Noctis. Here you get even better plant placement bonuses, but no direct ocean rebates around you, but instead you get access to both the northern and the southern ocean walk. A third best city spot is hard to determine, but 2 candidates are Pavonis Mons, which is especially nice if you have Noctis City on hand, and this spot, which dominates the southern ocean walk, grants direct access to the 6 MC pocket, and also provides you the opportunity to get some cards as placement bonus. Let's go through the 5 milestones on Tharsis: Terraformer, Mayor, Gardener, Builder, and Planner. These milestones strike a good balance between Rush and Engine, as well as between ground game and non-ground game strategies. On the one hand, you have Terraformer and Gardener, which favor Rush, and on the other hand, you have Builder and Planner, which favor Engine. On one side, you have Gardener and Mayor, which favor ground game, and on the other side, you have Builder and Planner, which favor non-ground game. If I had to say which ones are the hardest to accomplish, I'd say Terraformer and Planner can be quite difficult for different reasons, and Mayor often is a bit awkward to go for. Gardener and Builder are often quite easy on the other hand. But let's go through them one by one. Terraformer is a milestone that is only doable in a reasonable time frame if you're going for a rush. You will need to establish some early heat and plant prod, go for an ocean walk and play some space events, maybe even SP in ocean or 2. But if you get this reasonably early on, it also means that you have established a strong TR economy and probably also have a solid early game point lead, so close out the game fast. The best corps for these milestones in the base game are Credicore, UNMI, and Ecoline. If you're playing with the expansions, Pharmacy Union and Paladin Shipping are also really strong. Mayor is a weird milestone. Normally, you don't want to place a lot of cities in the early game, since a lot of their worth stems from point scoring, which is something you want to focus on in the late game. Getting 3 down for this milestone often can be quite difficult, but on the other hand, sometimes it's also insanely easy. Just imagine picking Tharsis with self-sufficient settlement and research outpost. A great start for this corp and a guaranteed Mayor Gen 1. But again, please don't overcommit to Mayor if you don't have tons and tons of plant prod on hand. As expected, Tharsis is really strong for this milestone, and outshines all other corps when it comes to this. Second tier contenders are Credicore, who can SP cities for a bit lower price, and Mining Guild, who can pay for city cards with its excessive steel prod and wants to play cities on minerals anyways. Gardener often is the easiest but also most contested milestone. Greeneries are strong on their own, and we established that ocean walking is a great strategy on Tharsis, the map with the most planned placement bonuses. Obviously, Ecoline is amazing for this milestone, and Credicore again is pretty good with its discount on the standard project and many of the expensive space events that will help you place greeneries or hinder your opponents place them. The expansions introduce Tharsis, which starts off a third of the way to Gardener, and also can get more plants from its ability, so that corp is a good pick for this milestone too. Builder is an engine milestone that will take you a while to achieve. Even with the cheapest building tax, you probably won't have enough money to buy and play them all in the first 1 or 2 gens. The best corps to get there are obviously Mining Guild and IC. The expansions introduce CSM, Recyclone and Factorum, which are all quite strong in the builder race. And lastly, Planner. This milestone really is reserved for engine players only. A Rush player cannot afford to purchase that many cards in a draft to get the milestone and still execute his game plan. When trying to secure Planner, be careful. There is a 2-card spot on the map. A quick SP Ocean or Convoy from Europa there, and 14 cards can turn into 16. Also, not all engine setups should try to go for this milestone. It's best if you have a lot of card draw as well as discounts. Don't delay your setup for too long just to go for Planner. The best base game corp for Planner is Inventrix, but the expansions introduce MSI and Point Luna, which are also both quite good. But let's jump over to the awards. These are a little less balanced in my opinion. Banker, Miner and Scientist are obvious engine awards, and while yes, Landlord and Thermalist should be okay for a rush, often engine players can catch up in tile placements later on, and they are not under pressure to spend their heat to end the game, so even if they only get down mass in the mid game, that might be enough to swing Thermalist. But I guess that's okay. As a rush player, you should just focus your money on ending the game and not fund that many awards anyways. Let's go through them one by one. Landlord is an award that cannot easily be swung. Placing tiles is costly and often requires a lot of setup in the form of plant prod. There's a few cards that can really impact this award early on. NRA, Insects, Protected Tabs, Kelp. If you got the majority of these, or you know they are out of the game, you should be fine funding the award. Ecoline and Credicore are probably the 2 best base game corps, and Tharsis and Ecotech the 2 best expansion corps for this award. Banker, on the other hand, is so easily swung. Zeppelins, Satellites, Installation, Gyropolis, the list goes on. Only fund this award if you're well and truly in the lead and have backup on hand. In the base game, Tharsis is great for this one, and there are tons of good corps for Banker in the expansions. Lakefront with its 9 guaranteed prod, Poseidon, which goes absolutely nuts in high player count games, Eridor, and, well, Prystar, even though it's just because playing a lot of MC prod suits its playstyle. Scientist is more difficult to swing again. There are only 33 science project cards in the base game. You can basically do a little card counting to see how likely it is your opponent has enough science tags to swing this award. You should definitely always keep research in mind if you fund this. If it's still out there, be careful. I wouldn't say any corp is inherently great at winning Scientist. Valley Trust has a discount on science tags, yes, but most of the time the problem is drawing them, not affording them. So I guess corps with ongoing card draw like Point Luna and Tycho Magnetics are best for this award. Next up, Thermalist. No, Helion is not automatically winning this award. Conversely, often it sucks funding Thermalist with Helion, since that corp often is the only one that wants to spend its heat after temperature is already maxed out. Sure, if no one else developed any heat prod at all, you might want to fund it, but even then, cards like Mass Converter might get played anyways, and those can really wreck you. I guess all corps that enjoy going for a rush want to fund this more than anything on this map. And lastly, Miner. If you know in the mid game that you will be winning Miner 100%, something might have gone wrong, because that means you over-invested into mineral prod. Optimally, you should only develop just enough mineral prod such that you can spend it all. If you end the game with 10 steel and 5 titanium left over, then what was the point of developing all that prod? Well, to win Miner, you might say. but those 5 points suddenly become really expensive. Nevertheless, sometimes Miner is objectively a good award to fund. I mean, Mining Guild has it in its name for a reason. If you're not winning Miner with that corp, you're just playing it wrong. Also, Manutech and Utopia Invest have a really good shot at it. The first one just loves playing production cards and gets a whole lot of free resources, and the second one can turn its production into resources in the late game to get another boost for this award. But overall, which corps profit most from all of this? Well, we established that Groundgame is great on Tharsis, Milestones are pretty balanced, and awards lean more towards Engine. So theoretically, all kinds of corps can be great on this map, but especially corps that like to do a ground game and are fine with both Rush and Engine. And I think the corp that profits the most is Tharsis Republic. The name fits the map, so that makes sense. Tharsis Republic is not a top tier corp by any means. I mean, I put it in B tier in my base game corps tier list, but this map seems to be made for it. First of all, Maya is super easy for Tharsis due to the free city you get, putting you a third of the way there. The free city also allows you to block one of the 2 great city spots immediately, allowing you to set yourself up for one of the ocean walks we established are so strong on Tharsis. Tharsis Republic also wants to go for a ground game anyways, develop plant prod and surround its cities with greeneries later, pushing you towards Gardener. Then you got a building tag for Builder and are incentivized to play Power Prod and City cards, most of which have building tags. For awards, Landlord and Banker are super great for Tharsis. I just think this corp benefits the most from everything this map provides. I don't want to say this makes Tharsis Republic the best corp on Tharsis, but it is probably the most improved on this map. Other corps that love to be played on Tharsis are Ecoline, due to the ground game focus, Gardener and Landlord, Lakefront Resorts, since the oceans on Tharsis are much better than on Elysium and Hellas and are therefore coming down sooner, and Phalaris, which has a huge head start on Gardener and in the late game can use its ability for all kinds of shenanigans surrounding Landlord, Thermalist or Miner. But definitely let me know in the comments which corps do you think benefit the most from the layout of Tharsis, its milestones and awards. I'm sure I forgot some. But that's it, my 2 cents on the base game map Tharsis. I'll do Elysium and Hellas next and then jump over to the newer maps. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Also, if you want to watch me play Terraforming Mars live, please check out my Twitch, which is linked in the description. Thanks guys, and see you in the next video.